Have you ever walked into a room and forgotten why you went there? Or struggled to recall a name that once came so easily? If you're over 60, moments like these can feel unsettling. But here's something deeply empowering. Your brain is not simply fading with age. It is responding to how you live each day. And the future of your memory is being shaped not by one big decision, but by tiny daily choices. Many people believe that once you pass 60, your brain begins an unavoidable downward slide. A forgotten name, a misplaced key, a moment of mental fog can feel like proof the decline has already begun. But modern neuroscience tells a far more hopeful story. The human brain remains adaptable, responsive, and capable of change well into later life. This ability is known as neuroplasticity, the brain's power to reorganize, form new neural connections, and even strengthen existing pathways in response to experience. It does not switch off at retirement age. It does not disappear with gray hair. It remains active for as long as you continue to use it. Every thought you think, every movement you make, and every habit you repeat sends signals through networks of neurons. When those signals are repeated consistently, the connections become stronger and more efficient. When they are neglected, they weaken. This means aging alone is not the sole driver of cognitive change. Lifestyle plays a decisive role. The brain responds to stimulation, nourishment, rest, and emotional state. It adapts to challenge. It adjusts to training. It thrives under supportive conditions. Research in cognitive aging consistently shows that individuals who remain mentally engaged, physically active, socially connected, and nutritionally supported tend to preserve sharper memory and executive function longer than those who withdraw from stimulation. Blood flow to the brain improves with even light physical activity, delivering oxygen and nutrients that support cell health. Learning something new, whether it's a hobby, a skill, or even a simple daily puzzle, activates circuits that encourage neural growth. Positive emotional experiences release chemicals that support brain resilience. These are not dramatic interventions. They are daily influences shaping neural architecture. It is also important to understand that the brain is dynamic, not static. New neurons can form in certain regions involved in memory, particularly when supported by exercise, proper sleep, and stress regulation. Connections between brain cells can increase in density with repeated mental effort. Even after minor setbacks or periods of inactivity, improvement is possible when stimulation resumes. The brain responds to demand. When you challenge it gently and consistently, it adapts. Belief itself plays a role. Studies suggest that individuals who hold positive views about aging often perform better on memory tasks than those who internalize negative stereotypes about growing older. When you assume decline is inevitable, you may unconsciously reduce effort, engagement, and curiosity. But when you recognize that growth remains possible, you create motivation to act, and action stimulates change. Adaptability after 60 does not mean you will think exactly as you did at 25. It means your brain is still capable of strengthening, reorganizing, and optimizing within this stage of life. It means improvement is not reserved for the young. It means the future of your memory is influenced by what you choose to do today. Each walk, each conversation, each nourishing meal, each new idea explored becomes a signal telling your brain to stay active, stay connected, stay responsive. The story of your cognitive future is still being written, shaped quietly and powerfully by the way you live each ordinary day. It is easy to believe that protecting your memory requires a dramatic transformation, a strict diet, an intense workout program, or hours of mental training each day. But the truth is far more encouraging. The future of your brain is shaped less by grand gestures and more by tiny daily habits repeated consistently over time. Small actions may feel insignificant in the moment, yet when practiced day after day, they compound into meaningful, measurable cognitive strength. Think about hydration. A single glass of water in the morning does not feel life-changing, yet mild dehydration can affect attention, processing speed, and short-term memory. By simply choosing to drink water when you wake up, you support circulation and oxygen delivery to brain tissue. That small act, repeated 365 times a year, creates a stable internal environment where your brain can function more efficiently. The same principle applies to nutrition. One healthy meal does not transform your memory overnight, but choosing berries over pastries, leafy greens over processed snacks, or healthy fats over fried foods gradually reduces inflammation and oxidative stress in the body. Over months and years, these consistent choices protect neurons and stabilize energy levels, preventing the spikes and crashes that contribute to mental fog. Tiny nutritional upgrades, sustained over time, become cognitive insurance. Movement works the same way. A short daily walk may seem too simple to matter, yet light, regular physical activity increases blood flow to the brain, stimulates the release of growth factors that support neural connections, and improves mood. 20 minutes of walking each day adds up to more than 120 hours of brain-supporting movement per year. The brain responds not to intensity alone, but to consistency. Mental engagement also thrives on small inputs. Reading a few pages of a book, learning a new word, practicing a memory exercise for 5 minutes, or trying a new hobby once a week activates neural circuits. These small cognitive challenges tell your brain it is still needed, still engaged, still growing. Over time, repeated stimulation strengthens pathways involved in recall, attention, and reasoning. Even stress management can be built through tiny habits. 1 minute of slow breathing, a brief gratitude reflection before bed, a short pause before reacting to frustration. These moments reduce cortisol levels and calm the nervous system. When practiced daily, they create a more balanced internal state, protecting brain structures involved in memory from chronic stress exposure. What makes small habits powerful is their sustainability. Large changes often fail because they are overwhelming. Tiny habits are manageable. They fit into real life. They require little willpower once established. And because they are repeated frequently, they shape identity. You begin to see yourself as someone who moves daily, eats mindfully, stays curious, and protects mental clarity. Memory decline rarely happens overnight. It develops gradually, influenced by years of accumulated choices. In the same way, cognitive strength builds gradually through consistent supportive actions. Each small decision may feel ordinary, almost invisible, but together they form a pattern. And that pattern becomes your trajectory. The direction of your memory's future is not decided in a single moment of effort, but in the quiet repetition of simple habits practiced faithfully every day. Your brain is not separate from your body. It is fed by it, supported by it, and protected by it. Every heartbeat sends oxygen and nutrients upward through an intricate network of blood vessels, delivered what your brain cells need to think clearly, remember accurately, and respond quickly. When you choose to move your body and nourish it well, you are directly fueling your cognitive function. Movement and nutrition are not cosmetic lifestyle upgrades. They are biological investments in mental clarity. Light exercise, even something as simple as a daily walk, increases blood flow to the brain. This improved circulation brings oxygen and glucose, the brain's primary energy source, to neurons that depend on steady supply. Physical activity also stimulates the release of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a protein that supports the growth and maintenance of neural connections. These connections form the basis of memory and learning. When you move regularly, you encourage your brain to maintain and strengthen these pathways. You do not need intense training sessions to benefit. Gentle stretching, slow cycling, light resistance exercises, or dancing in your living room can activate similar processes. The key is consistency. Regular movement helps regulate blood pressure, balance blood sugar, and reduce inflammation, all of which influence long-term cognitive health. Over time, these physiological improvements reduce strain on the delicate vessels that supply the brain, helping preserve memory and focus. Nutrition plays an equally powerful role. The brain is made up largely of fat, and it relies on healthy fats to maintain cell membranes and communication between neurons. Foods such as olive oil, nuts, seeds, and fatty fish provide essential fatty acids that support this structure. Antioxidant-rich fruits and vegetables help neutralize free radicals that can damage brain cells. Whole grains provide steady glucose release, preventing the energy crashes that impair concentration. Each balanced meal becomes a form of protection. On the other hand, diets high in processed sugars and unhealthy fats can increase inflammation and disrupt insulin regulation, which has been linked to cognitive decline. When blood sugar fluctuates wildly, mental clarity often follows. Stable nutrition supports stable thinking. Over months and years, these dietary patterns accumulate effects that shape how well your brain functions. Hydration is another overlooked factor. Even mild dehydration can affect attention and short-term recall. Drinking adequate water throughout the day supports optimal circulation and cellular function. It is a small act with measurable impact. When movement and nutrition work together, their effects amplify. Exercise improves how efficiently your body uses nutrients. Healthy eating provides the raw materials that exercise helps distribute. This synergy strengthens not only muscles and the heart, but also the neural networks responsible for memory and decision making. At any age, your brain responds to how you treat your body. After 60, these choices become even more significant. You are not powerless against cognitive change. Each walk you take and each nourishing meal you prepare sends a clear message to your brain. You are supported. You are supplied. You are sustained. Over time, that message becomes structure, resilience, and sharper mental performance woven into the rhythm of your everyday life. Your brain was designed for stimulation and connection. It thrives on challenge, curiosity, and meaningful interaction. When you stop asking it to work, it begins to conserve energy. But when you continue to stretch it gently, consistently, it responds by strengthening the very circuits that support memory and reasoning. Mental engagement is not about passing tests or proving intelligence. It is about keeping neural pathways active so they remain efficient and resilient. Learning something new is one of the most powerful ways to stimulate the brain. It does not have to be complex. Reading a few pages of a thought-provoking book, trying a new recipe, practicing a musical instrument, solving puzzles, or even exploring a new walking route activates multiple regions of the brain at once. When you learn, neurons fire together. When they fire together repeatedly, they wire together. This strengthening of connection supports recall and mental flexibility. Novelty plays a special role. When you expose yourself to new information or experiences, the brain releases chemicals associated with attention and motivation. These chemicals help encode memories more effectively. That means stepping outside your routine, even in small ways, can improve how well you retain information. Curiosity is not just a personality trait, it is cognitive fuel. Mental engagement also protects against cognitive stagnation. When days become repetitive and unstimulating, the brain receives fewer signals to adapt. Over time, unused pathways weaken. But when you regularly challenge your thinking by discussing ideas, learning skills, or solving problems, you maintain the strength of those circuits. It is like exercising a muscle. Gentle but repeated use preserves function. Equally important is social connection. Human interaction stimulates complex cognitive processes. Conversation requires listening, interpreting tone, recalling information, organizing thoughts, and responding appropriately, all in real time. This dynamic exchange activates memory centers, language areas, and emotional regulation systems simultaneously. Laughter and shared stories deepen these effects by engaging emotional memory, which is often stronger and more durable. Loneliness, on the other hand, can quietly affect cognitive health. When social interaction decreases, opportunities for mental stimulation decline as well. Isolation may also increase stress hormones, which can interfere with memory over time. Staying connected to friends, family, community groups, or even volunteering networks provides both emotional comfort and neurological engagement. Intergenerational interaction can be particularly powerful. Conversations with younger people expose you to new perspectives, technologies, and ideas. Sharing your life experiences reinforces long-term memory and gives your knowledge purpose. Teaching someone else something you know strengthens your own understanding and recall. The combination of mental challenge and meaningful connection creates a protective environment for the brain. It keeps neural networks active and adaptable. It reinforces identity and emotional well-being. It reminds you that you are still learning, still contributing, still evolving. After 60, engagement is not about staying busy for the sake of it. It is about staying mentally alive. Every book you read, every conversation you have, every new skill you attempt sends a signal that your brain is still needed. And when the brain feels needed, it continues to respond, adapt, and strengthen in ways that shape your memory and cognitive vitality for years to come. The way you sleep, the way you respond to stress, and the way you speak to yourself each day quietly shape the future of your brain. These factors may seem intangible compared to diet or exercise, yet they influence memory just as powerfully. After 60, protecting cognitive health is not only about what you do during the day, but also about how deeply you rest at night, how calmly you handle pressure, and how positively you frame your own aging process. Sleep is when the brain performs some of its most important maintenance. During deep stages of rest, memories formed throughout the day are consolidated and organized. Information moves from short-term storage into more stable, long-term networks. At the same time, the brain clears out metabolic waste products that accumulate during waking hours. Without sufficient quality sleep, this process becomes less efficient. You may notice more forgetfulness, slower thinking, or difficulty concentrating. Prioritizing 7 to 8 hours of restful sleep creates the conditions your brain needs to reset and recharge. Simple habits such as maintaining a consistent bedtime, dimming lights in the evening, and reducing screen exposure can significantly improve sleep quality over time. Stress management is equally critical. When stress becomes chronic, the body releases elevated levels of cortisol and other stress hormones. In small amounts, these chemicals help you respond to challenges, but when they remain high for extended periods, they can interfere with memory formation and even affect structures in the brain associated with learning. Daily calming practices help regulate this response. Slow, intentional breathing signals safety to the nervous system. Gentle stretching relaxes muscle tension. Quiet reflection, prayer, or meditation lowers heart rate and stabilizes emotional reactions. Even brief moments of gratitude shift attention away from threat and toward appreciation, reducing physiological strain. Equally powerful is mindset. The belief you hold about aging influence your behavior, motivation, and resilience. If you constantly repeat the idea that memory loss is inevitable, you may withdraw from challenges, avoid learning opportunities, and interpret normal lapses as signs of decline. This pattern can become self-reinforcing. In contrast, when you adopt a growth-oriented perspective, believing your brain remains capable of adaptation, you are more likely to engage in behaviors that support cognitive strength. Optimism encourages action, and action stimulates neuroactivity. Positive self-talk also reduces stress. Speaking to yourself with patience rather than criticism prevents unnecessary emotional strain. Instead of saying, "I'm losing it," you might say, "I need a moment to recall." That subtle shift maintains confidence and emotional stability. Confidence itself improves performance, creating a reinforcing cycle of belief and ability. Sleep restores, calm protects, optimism motivates. Together, these internal habits shape the biological environment in which your brain functions. They influence hormone balance, neural repair, and emotional resilience. You cannot eliminate every challenge that comes with age, but you can influence how your brain responds to them. Each restful night, each calming breath, each encouraging thought becomes part of a foundation that supports memory, clarity, and confidence. Over time, this foundation strengthens quietly, sustaining not only sharper thinking, but also a deeper sense of control over your cognitive future.